A very good evening to you and welcome to Big Talk here on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. My name is Godwin Sunday. Well, quite a lot of conversation to delve in today. First, we're looking at the generality of Nigerian political era. For many governors and many local government chairmen, many public officials, they will say that they've been able to, we can assess them rather, through their 2 years and practical demonstration of leadership strength, taking it from the National Assembly through to the executive arm of government. We can assess them through all of this. When we look at the various tiers of government, be it the local government, the state government, and the federal government, we can still assess all of this concern, looking at it from what the local government have been able to do so far, what the state governors have been able to do so far, and what the federal government is able to achieve using its exclusive legislative list. But then, that is just one side of the conversation. The other part of the conversation will be around the fact that President Bola Tinubu has been able to commission quite a number of projects, even within the Federal Capital Territory. How economically viable are these projects that has been commissioned, and what are the expected returns in terms of turnover from this whole project commissioning? And peradventure, we will also ask salient questions around the fact that, of course, money has been earmarked for the whole opening ceremony and the commissioning ceremony of some of these projects. How much has been earmarked, and how soon can we begin to see returns even from this whole angle, in order to ensure that we can also focus on other parts of the Federal Capital Territory in terms of developmental agenda as being proposed by the Mr. Project himself, from the person of ESM and Wiki at this point in time. Well, it is a way of saying welcome to a Big Talk here on Global Television. Don't forget that also you can join the conversation on our various social media platform currently showing on your screen. If you want to join the conversation, not to worry, you can just type in and Global TV NG to join the conversation. Of course, don't forget that you can also download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app from your Android and iOS devices to also keep track of our broadcast. Well, the show is just starting. We'll delve into the first conversation immediately after this break. Please stay with us as Big Talk continues in a moment. Welcome back. In a bold move to improve connectivity across Nigeria's capital, the Maitama Gishiri Bridge and the Katampe Jahi Mabushi Link Road have officially been commissioned in June 2025. The infrastructure project, which commenced in October 2024, was executed under a renewed vision for the Federal Capital Territory, a testament to the efficient urban planning and delivery. Designed to decongest key traffic corridors and boost inter-district mobility, the network of roads and the strategic bridge now seamlessly connect some of Abuja's fastest growing residential and commercial zones. From inception to delivery in under a year, this is infrastructure with intent, that capacity in action. Well, we've seen President Bola Tinubu to a very large extent commissioning most projects in the Federal Capital Territory by the Mr. Project himself, Nyesom Wike, who is doing magnificently well in terms of project delivery and project from conception through to delivery. Wike has been at the forefront of all of this. But then we're trying to even look at the fact that the president's commissioning some of these projects. One will begin to ask salient questions. The commissioning of the Gishiri Road, the Mabushi, also the Jahi, and all of this. How much was earmarked for some of these projects? How much was spent? And how much is spent for the opening of all of this? But before we even get to that point where we begin to analyze and talk about that angle, which has formed most conversations even around the Federal Capital Territory, let's even take a look at President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's commissioning of the project of the now formerly International Conference Center, now known as Tinubu International Conference Center. Let's take a look at that video, which literally formed all the national dailies for today. Then we'll delve into a conversation. Please stay with us. It was a moment of pride and celebration at the heart of Nigeria's capital, Abuja, as President Bola Tinubu cut the ribbon to unveil the newly renovated International Conference Center. The extensive renovation, which began shortly after Wike assumed office, includes modern upgrades to the auditorium, conference halls, lighting systems, and security infrastructure aimed at restoring the center's status as a world-class venue for high-level summit and diplomatic events. The commissioning ceremony drew top government officials, members of the diplomatic corps, and stakeholders in the hospitality and tourism sector. While commissioning the center, the president commended the minister and urged the FCT minister to focus on the development of Abuja.
I'm greatly honored and happy to be here to reopen this international conference center as part of our determined effort to change the way we do things, to reflect us as people of quality, people of character, people of determination, people of great spirit. That's what we have. And I'm not into the busybody and high standard will never mistake. Continue with your good work.
The Senate President seized the opportunity to commend the FCT minister for the milestone reached in moving the FCT forward.
The President, the renovation, the rehabilitation, and the transformation that we are witnessing in ICC is what we are bringing to this country, whether people like it or not. The Nigerian Parliament is very proud of you. We are proud of the fact that we do the budgeting, we give the approval, and do the exhibition.
The revamped center is expected to boost conference tourism, create jobs, and serve as a revenue-generating asset for the FCT administration. With this commissioning, Abuja reclaimed its place as a top destination for international events in Africa. Godwin Sunday. All right, welcome back. Let's even begin with that whole process. Of course, it was a joyous celebration across the Federal Capital Territory, not even forgetting that today, President Bola Tinubu says that the All Progressive Congress, APC, is ready to welcome the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, President Nyesom Wike, whenever he decides to join the All Progressive Congress. Well, interesting conversation that the president also stated. He stated this at the commissioning of the arterial road, that is N16 Shehu Shagari Way, connecting Ring Road 1 Nnamdi Azikiwe Way to arterial road N20 Wole Soyinka Way, along with accompanying interchanges and feeder roads in Maitama district, Abuja. So all of this we will be able to see in the course of the conversation. But then, when we look at the various institutions of government and the various structures being put in place by the Nigerian government in terms of the practicability of this whole conversation, one begin to wonder when are we going to go beyond the point of road commissioning into talking about probably rail commissioning, and doing what the Akwa Ibom State government, previous government of Akwa Ibom State, was able to do in terms of talking about airlines and all of this, even for the Federal Capital Territory. When are we going to pass the line of construction of bridges and go past the line? But then people will say again that it is too early to draw the conclusion. Should allow Wike to do his job within the FCT in order to bring practical development to the Federal Capital Territory. I'm being joined right now by Bukar Sulaiman, who is joining me all the way from Kaduna State to talk about all of the concerns that have been raised right now, even among various political parties across the country. And so good to have you on the show. All right, so Bukar, if you can hear me loud and clear, I'm trying to even get your own. Let's even look at all of this concern that we've raised so far on the show. What do you make of those developments? So we will go for a short break right now. When we come back, we will be able to connect with Bukar, who will be giving us even the northeast and northwest and north central perspective of the various achievement of Mr. President, and also trying to tie this up with the Federal Capital Territory commissioning of projects, and now it will further accelerate the growth of Nigeria and also the people of Nigeria. Please stay with us. We'll return after this break. All right, welcome back. So let's talk to Bukar Sulaiman right now. But first, you're welcome to Big Talk, Bukar. All right, Booker, if you can, Booker, can you hear me now?
Hello, good evening.
All right, good evening, Booker. So good to have you join us right
Good
now.
evening. I'm trying to see how I can be able to get earpiece that I can use so that I can respond to your questions and you'll be able to hear me very clearly. The place I am is a little bit busy and actually I'm a little bit far from home. So that's why it will be a little bit rowdy, but I hope in the next 2 minutes it will be clear.
All right, so Booker, we'll wait for you in the next 2 minutes to join us so that because we want to get a lot of perspective from Kaduna, Kano, Sokoto, Zamfara, and also by extension, we will also talk about the various political going on in Adamawa State, looking at it from various quarters and trying to assess the scorecard of the northern governors in terms of delivering the dividends of democracy like what Nyesom Wike has been doing in the federal capital territory. How do we connect all of this together? Well, we'll wait for you. Well, we'll take this short break, and when we come back, we believe that Booker will be ready for us to talk about all of this. Please stay with us. The show continues in a moment. Right, welcome back. Also, so Buka, let's even get your take generally on the various politics that have been playing out across the country right now. What do you make of the various defection, the various political developments, and the trajectory of various politicians right now not delivering on their mandate, especially when you access them within the parameters of the midterm analysis.
Good evening, fellow Nigerians. As I have earlier informed you, you are going to manage my situation as I've earlier said. But generally speaking, to talk on the state of the nation, let me start by saying that the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a government that came on board that we have, or Nigerians have, high expectations. But it is obvious and quite unfortunate that people came who had a very, very serious expectation that at this moment, the expectations are not seeing the light of the day. If I could remember when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came on board, the first step he took was the fact that he's going to remove fuel subsidy, and people think, oh, Nigerians were thinking that immediately the fuel subsidy is removed, there will be a lot of packages that Nigerians will enjoy as dividend of democracy. But you know, after 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, up to a year, the level of governance as far as the office of Mr. President, as far as office of ministers are concerned, it didn't see the light of the day. And almost every now and then, prices of goods and services keep on skyrocketing. And of course, you know, as human beings, when you have expectations and at the end of the day you are not seeing any sign of positive result, despite the government keep promising, you can have hope that of course in anything that has to do with development, of course there will be challenges and technical issues along the line. But most sincerely, I have to be frank with you, after the end of the year, there was nothing to show on ground. There was nothing changing as far as where the common man on the streets will be able to say, yes, of course, governance is going on. We entered the second year. Just recently, we had the 2 years, should I call it, celebration all over the country. People were challenging the government, what can you be able to show as far as your achievement in those 2 years? Quite sad, the government was a kind of presenting, you know, should I say, incompleted projects to show that these are our achievements. I think this is the first time I'm experiencing something like that. But most sincerely, I'm not saying that the government has not done anything that we can be able to brag on. I can tell you, I can vouch for the government as far as areas of education is concerned. This government have done excellently. Thousands of our students are currently enjoying scholarship or loan, if I may call it that way. I know it's a scholarship indirectly, but we'll call it a loan across the Nigerian universities. And you can remember, issue of ASU has been anything that you can talk of as far as education is concerned. When you are talking of ASU, you know it's something that, of course, the government must make sure they put many modalities in place to prevent the issue of strike. Because till now that we are talking, the union is still feeling that the government has not done its best in maintaining and sustaining educational status as far as the country is concerned. So whenever there is a new government, I know ASU as a very respected union, they used to give a kind of privilege or a kind of a time frame that they will observe how the government is going to operate, so that they will know whether the government is ready to do something as far as education is concerned or not. And this is exactly 2 years that since this government come on board, there has not been ASU strike. The government released recently 50 billion unions in the university, and about 5 months ago or 6 months or 7 months, if I may be specific, about 3 months salary was paid to ASU out of the 5.5 months that the government is owing when they went on strike. So at least it's an achievement. But as far as the area of economy is concerned, this government needs to have expertise or experts, if I may use that word. The experts that are working on the economy of this country, most sincerely, the result we are seeing does not show that there is a green light at the end of the tunnel. So as far as Bola Ahmed Tinubu as a person is concerned, we know he mean well for the country, but the policy makers, those team that will advise him on the right step to take as far as the nation is concerned, it seems like they are not doing the right thing. And that is why we are challenged in terms of economy, we are challenged in terms of insecurity, we are challenged in many, many ways as far as issue of governance in this country is concerned. So they need to do more. They need to do more. And very unfortunately, I expect that whatever achievement a government is supposed to showcase, it's supposed to be in the second and the third year of their administration. For this second year of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, they are showcasing endorsement upon endorsement upon endorsement as far as Nigeria is concerned, which is the first time also that I'm experiencing this kind of situation. Yes.
Yeah, Buka, let's even look in terms of this old conversation from Kaduna, which you are resident in. When you assess the Kaduna State governor right now, and that's speaking about Uba Sani and his administration style so far in Kaduna State, can we say that there has been tangible development even in Kaduna State and by extension the entire not western part of Nigeria as it stands right now?
Well, as far as Kaduna State is concerned, I want to tell you that to some extent they have tried to some extent, but what I can focus on more is like the government is focusing more on the welfare of the masses instead of infrastructure. Though they have achieved many successes in constructing roads, despite the fact that those roads were roads that were initiated by the previous government. And of course, when they came on board, administration is a continuous process. Of course, they have no any other reason than to continue such projects, though there are certain projects that can be abandoned. So they try as much as they can to see how they can be able to complete such projects. And I can grade them to some extent excellently. And in terms of education, they have brought many initiatives that is going to help the common man in the society. But when it comes to the most sensitive part of any government, as far as my assessment is concerned, is when people or the common man on the street can be able to lay his hand on food. If he cannot be able to get 3 square meals, at least 2 square meals should be readily available for him. But I want to tell you, even those that are the working class are always So almost every now and then we hear complaints from them that they are finding it so difficult to feed their family because what they are earning that is supposed to take them home, of course, it's not taking them home. So I can say in Kaduna State they have. I cannot, if I should grade them, of course, I can just give them maybe like 30%, or to some extent, I can say 40% in some areas, and in some areas, I can be able to grade them up to 50%. But saying that in general governance that you are going to assess, I could remember recently I saw that the governor was given an award as the best performing governor in Nigeria. And I wonder how they assess it. Is it general governance or they selected some areas and they feel he has done excellently, then they should be able to honor him with what he has achieved. This is my take and this is my observation or assessment as far as the state is concerned. But when it comes to the major issue, which is the economy, of course, it's a national issue and it's affecting almost everybody as far as the nation is concerned, which Kaduna State cannot be an exception.
So Bukar, by extension,
yes,
can we say that this is a generality of an assessment for the entire northwestern part of Nigeria as it stands right now? Looking at Kano, looking at Sokoto, can we say that Governor Ubah has been able to uphold the standard of infrastructural and human capital development other than other state governors in the northwestern part of Nigeria?
Well, with this as an assessing factor, most sincerely, I can say he did excellently, much more than many states within the western part of the country. Of course, when you take a state like Zamfara, you take state like Katsina, and you take state like Sokoto, of course, instead of their governors focusing on infrastructural development as well as human capital development and other issues that will affect the common man on the street, of course, 99.9% of their focus is now on security. I could remember I had in one of the interviews with the governor of Katsina, he is seriously lamenting on the amount of money he is spending on security on monthly basis. So most of their spendings is being focused on insecurity. And this insecurity, as far as Northwest is concerned, as far as Northeast is concerned as well, if the federal government did not intervene with full sincerity of purpose, I assure you, and I can with all full confidence that this insecurity will continue to take different dimensions and shapes as far as these two regions are concerned. Because I could remember the word of General Sani Abacha of blessed memory. He said any insecurity, or in fact not only insecurity, any situation, any breach of security that happens with that takes place more than 24 hours, the government is having hand in it. So are you telling me that the government doesn't have hand in the insecurity indirectly? Of course. The government, if at all they want to tackle the issue of insecurity in the Northwest, of course they will make sure, even if it will take, as I had one of the aspirant, presidential aspirant saying that immediately if he is being elected as the president of the country, he is going to relocate his office to Maiduguri. So if it will warrant the president relocating his villa to be in Maiduguri or in Zamfara or in Sokoto to ensure that this insecurity become history as far as this nation is concerned, then they should do so. Almost every now and then they are killing people. So their governors are focusing more on security. They don't even have time to think of capital development, infrastructural development across the state, or not talk of other issues that may bring development to the state. Of course, without security, I assure you, almost everything in the state will be worked on equal to zero. Because whatever you have put in place, once that insecurity becomes so pronounced across the state, of course, people will not have rest of mind to come and invest. People that are residing within the state will not have rest of mind to even go to work. People that are residing within the state will not have rest of mind to ensure that they bring development or think in a way that development will come to the state. So it's a very serious issue, and these governors, of course, whether you like it or not, we must say kudos to them as far as those challenging states are concerned, because they are doing almost their best. I cannot say they are doing 100%, but to a large extent, the challenges they are facing is much more than other governors that are in other states. Like in Kaduna State, it's not that we don't have insecurity. Of course, we do have. But if you can see the level of insecurity in Kaduna, when you compare it with that of Zamfara and that of Sokoto, or that of Katsina and Maiduguri, of course, we can say we are seeing a peace. And the last time any challenge as far as insecurity is concerned is recorded in Kaduna, actually it has taken a little time. You understand? So to some extent, we can say the governor is having all the chances, all the opportunities to ensure that infrastructural and human capital development as well as welfare packages are being set to people that are within the state so that they can enjoy governance as far as the state is concerned. So to some extent, if you want to compare Kaduna State and other state, of course I can say you have all that right to do that.
Let's talk in terms of the level of migration of people outside Kaduna. You've said that the governor has been performing well in Kaduna State, but then based on the report I have with me, is that more people are even leaving Kaduna right now in search of greener pasture. In terms of economy, we'll begin to assess Governor Uba Sani of Kaduna State. Economically wise, how productive have the local governments in Kaduna become? How productive is the state right now? We'll begin to assess it based on its midterm score.
This question you just asked, in everything that you want to assess somebody, you have to put certain parameters in place. For instance, when it comes to issue of people going out of Kaduna to look for a greener pasture, that doesn't mean they are not doing well within the state. Of course, if for instance I'm a salary earner earning maybe 150,000, of course I will be thinking of any job that will earn me at least 300 to 500,000 at the end of the month. So of course that doesn't mean I'm not doing well, but certainly I'm thinking outside the box to ensure that I get something better than what I have at hand. As far as economy in Kaduna State is concerned, most sincerely, I don't want to say what I don't have first-hand information on. But if I should judge the governor, most sincerely, I don't think he has a serious plan with regards to economic development as far as the state is concerned. Of course, we have it in the pipeline, but we have not seen any signal. You know, one thing you should understand about government, most of these politicians, as far as economic policies are concerned, like in the country now, almost everybody can have become an economist. Because as far as the policies of the government is concerned at the federal level, it's not yielding any positive results. What the common man wants to see physically is for you to go to the market. If before you used to buy a bag of rice at the cost of 90,000, let him go to the market and get a bag of rice at the rate of 50, 60,000 naira. Now you will tell you that the economy and the government is working. But when you go to the market, you buy fuel at 900 naira, and of course, in a month or a week time, you went back to the same market and you are getting that fuel at 600 naira per liter. Of course, you have all right to say that the federal government is working, because these are physical economic policy that the common man on the street will be able to feel and see and assess. But as far as governors are concerned, in most cases they don't a kind of try to run away from project that doesn't have a physical, look that people can be able to just see and say, the governor is working. Things like roads, bridges, and what have you. But anything that will have to do with the economy, of course, they don't do that because they feel that will not have physical assessment that people will be able to grade them and say that they are doing their best.
Just in time to even want to look at what the Uba Sani is even doing in Kaduna State at the moment, because people will say that Kaduna State is the bedrock for which we can use to assess all the entire south, the entire north west part of Nigeria. I don't know how correct that is, by the way, but we'll begin to look at this government in terms of its technological drive and the north generally. How will you be able to rate the government in its technological drive in a scale of 1 to 10? Have the government 2 years so far, have they been able to surpass that ratio between 1 to 10? Have they gone beyond that ratio of 1 to 10?
Please, can you come again with the question?
All right, so Book, I'm trying to find out from you at this point, just as we begin to pack our things to go. A lot of people will say that Kaduna State has been on the forefront of championing the cause of development, even within the northwestern part of Nigeria. But when you look at the governors, that's taking it from Governor Uba Sani's technological drive for Kaduna State, can we say right now that the governor has been more technologically inclined, or we should look the other way when it has to do with technology and the incorporation of technological innovation in order to drive the state forward? What's the technological assessment, even from your own angle?
This is to tell you that is a technology-friendly governor. Of course, to some extent, I can grade them excellently to that regard, because I know they are doing well. Instead of you taking paper from one local government to another local government, of course, it's something that within a few minutes, within a few seconds, you have sent email and you have gotten a reply. And many non-governmental organizations are supporting the governor in terms of the technological aspect across the state. And that is why they are achieving success as far as that is concerned. And as far as the ministry is concerned, it's a state where it has majority of people that are educated to large extent. So whatever they do and whatever they see as far as new innovation is concerned, they grab it with all manner of sincerity and confidence. They accept it. So that is why in that regard, the governor is achieving success as far as my assessment is concerned, because I have witnessed such technological development, and I can vouch for the governor as far as that issue is concerned.
Buka, at this point, I want to say thank you so much.